Good evening, my fellow traders and enjoyers of turkey stuffing and everything that comes with Thanksgiving. Welcome to your weekly market recap. You found Riz International, your new home for everything markets, and I would encourage you, if you have not clicked the subscribe button, please do so now, and make sure that you have that bell icon clicked as well to get notified every time we upload new videos on the channel. But let's get to it. Obviously, it was a very short trading week this week. It is Thanksgiving here in the United States, and so the market was closed on Thursday and only open for about half a day on Friday, and Black Friday making its name very, very true. So a lot of you may have heard, those of you in Elite obviously already know that there was a big news break that a new version of coronavirus was detected in South Africa. They're calling it Omicron. And so now everybody's freaking out. And as you'll see when we look through here, basically it's like, well, we're just going to sell everything because who knows that, virus and scary and lockdowns and sell. That's all the market saw on Friday, even though it was basically just a half day, which was incredibly surprising. Huge move. Almost looks like it was negative 2.27%, so 2.25% in one day. In half a day. I mean, maybe it was a good thing they released that info on Black Friday, because it could have been worse if it was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which was a full trading day. So, a lot of things in the red right now. And what we want to do is talk about the key levels on the S&P 500. Now, Monday saw us making a new all-time high at 4,743.83. We did not stay there long. It basically ran up there, touched it, and it sold off. And then, Tuesday and Wednesday were mostly consolidation, really not much going on. And then Friday, the news broke about Omicron. So one of the key levels here is going to be the 45.50 level on the S&P 500. You can see that inflection point right here where we came up to in about the beginning of September. That was an area that provided some levels of resistance, and that can now act as support. Welcome, Sujin. Glad you made it to the live webinar. So S&P 500 definitely in a bit of a tumble right now. Is that a problem? Well, we're going to have to wait and see what happens on Monday. Obviously, the market has a very long weekend to digest all of this information, and not too much is known at this time, other than there's a new version, and that probably the vaccines are not going to be effective against it at this time. But we don't know that yet. So don't take that to the bank and say, well, Chris said on webinar that this would happen. So let's just wait and see. Let's wait for the news to come out. Let's wait for the scientists to do their thing. But as traders, let's look at our key support levels. As mentioned, 45.50 is going to be a big one. Then the 4,400 level, if it breaks through there, I would, suggest that 4,500 itself is going to be a pretty good support area. For the S&P 500, we have the moving averages here that are in the area that can act as an area of buying and selling pressure. The 200 is way down here at 4,300. If we get down there, that's going to be a big move. And just to kind of give you an idea, if that were to happen, I mean, that would require a 6.5% move, basically. So not anticipating that, but, after, that happened, when we had coronavirus 1, now we're on coronavirus 3. We'll have to see if the trilogy is as good as Return of the Jedi. I'm guessing it is not, but let's just wait and see how things pan out with that. So our recommendation right now, and Riz said this to all of our elite members, is to maintain a cash position at this point. We are not going to try and catch the knife. We are not going to, really push trades, force trades. That's not what we are about. And so that is one of the things that I want you guys to, remember, is just because we're not trading does not mean that we are not in the market. We can sit patiently and wait. Remember, what we want to do as swing traders is we are looking for those, those sniper shots, to say that you are looking for a very sharp point of entry. You nail it, you ride it back up, and then you can sell. Can't do that if we just buy every dip and hope for the best. So we're going to be patient. We're not going to be putting out trades just for the sake of trading, especially if the market continues to sell off on Monday. Now, if news comes out that it's not as bad as everybody thought, it's going to be okay, then I suspect we'll see some market recovery. But if we don't, then there could be a lot more fear in anticipation of what might happen in the future. And so we'll have to deal with that. But right now, again, we're holding steady. That's part of the game. We have to wait for the market to sell off so we can buy low and then, of course, sell high. Let's take a look at the breakdown here for the market sectors, And as you can see, it was mostly trading sideways. Bit of a dip in energy here on the 19th. Recovered the following days, only to get smashed on Friday with everything that happened. And you'll see that in oil here in a minute. And you'll notice everything was down on Friday for the most part. Now, obviously, utilities and healthcare are not making as big of a move as some of the other ones, like real estate, financials, tech, energy, but pretty much everything was down on Friday with the news about the new variant. So, of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Not too much to talk about as far as this is concerned right now. Nothing really going out of the ordinary. But if you want to talk about a red candle, look at oil on Friday. Holy cow, what a move. That was, let me see here, a 13% drop in oil. That is nuts. That is nuts. And if I know Riz, and I know Riz pretty well, I suspect that he will be eyeing an entry on oil here soon in the near future. Now, I'm not advocating that anybody take a position there. I'm not saying that you need to go buy it, but I'm telling you, for those of our elite members, keep an eye on the swing trade section, because I think that might be something that Riz may be looking at here in the future. Now let's take a look at gold. Obviously we had this kind of run up on gold, consolidated for a bit, and it came right back down where it used to. Now what I find interesting is all of the whipsaw that we saw on Friday. While the market was down, gold was basically kind of just hanging steady. A lot of indecision in gold. We saw a big jump and it kind of came back, little push down, but really just kind of hanging around the moving averages like it was before. We had this little quick run up and then return back down. So interesting movement here in gold, compared to, things like oil, silver, platinum, things like that. Those were down quite a bit on Friday. Gold just kind of hanging steady right now. So that I find kind of interesting. But yeah, this drop in oil was just monumental. Holy cow, what a move. But yeah, keep an eye on oil going into Monday. Definitely something that could be a potential for a bit of a rebound. Something else that's selling off pretty hardcore is Bitcoin after hitting the $69,000 level here, and I can only surmise that someone did that on purpose. It just seems like something that this generation would do, because I mean 69, it's a nice number, right? So yeah, hit that all-time high exactly to the penny, and has rejected that ever since then. So however nice someone thought that was, the rest of the people didn't quite necessarily agree as far as Bitcoin is concerned. So quite the move back down here. Let's go ahead and take a look at how much that is. Let's get it to where it's at right now. We'll say right about there. Yeah, a 20% drop in Bitcoin over the last couple weeks. So definitely a big mover, to say the least. Bitcoin not doing too much today so far, just kind of hanging tough. Maybe a little bit of hangover from Black Friday. Can't blame them as far as that's concerned. Obviously, Bitcoin got hammered here on Friday, just like everything else. And then, not too much on the 27th here so far today. Let's continue and let's go ahead and take a look at the trades. And I know usually we have a time where I've got, Riz is looking at this, Riz is looking at that. Right now, Riz is just chilling. We have to, when we have a big move like this, especially if we saw what happened with coronavirus 1.0, the last thing we want to do is be jumping in on trades when it's right here. Okay, so we kind of need to wait. We need to wait and see how this pans out before we go ahead and start taking positions. So if we see another rollover like we did before, then it is something that we can look to capitalize on to, buy things at a discount, which is what we want to do. We did take one trade this week, and that would be ADSK, Autodesk. Looking at this as a potential, dip buy, maybe even potentially a meta play. So got absolutely demolished on earnings where they beat and they had, an increase in revenue. So obviously, guys, we need to sell this thing off because it's too high valued, right? That must be it. Yeah, that warrants a 15% drop. That seems good. So looking to get in on the dip on this one, let me look at our entry price that we got in. Give me just a second, I can pull that up. 252.69. Obviously, 69 playing a big role not only in Bitcoin but also in our entries. Yeah, still in the green even after that drawdown on Friday here on ADSK. But yeah, this is a pretty big dip and definitely not really warranted. And yeah, this one still in the green from our entry point, but obviously not looking too hot right now. Be careful with these knife catch plays because sometimes you can get cut. I think I've told this story before, but had a friend of mine in high school who worked actually at a knife shop and learned why you don't try and catch a falling knife the hard way, because he did it and he cut himself pretty good in the hand. Had to go to the hospital and get some stitches put in. But yeah, definitely just be careful with these knife catch plays, because especially with earnings, things like this, even if earnings are good and you have this, massive move towards the downside, sometimes the selling can continue. Let's take an example of that. PayPal, everybody's favorite payment service, that said that they wanted to maybe potentially buy Pinterest. And sell. Even on earnings here, they did miss a little bit on revenue, but they did beat their EPS by almost 3% and 3 cents per share. But yeah, that reported revenue of $6 billion. Just not good enough, guys. Obviously, it warranted this drop of, let's see, how much was it? Riz is better at this than I am. 10%. Basically a 10% drop post earnings, and it has done nothing but continue to sell. However, PayPal does look to be stabilizing here, but this is one of those things where it kind of pays sometimes to just relax and not necessarily buy the security immediately after it dips. Sometimes you kind of want to wait it out and see how it goes. Now, if you bought here and you sold here, congratulations, you nailed it. If you're still holding, maybe worth time to consider possibly averaging down on this one. But yeah, this is another great example of, you have this news catalyst and it has this huge sell-off period, and then earnings hits it even harder, and down we continue. Now, I would feel a lot more confident taking a dip buy on PayPal, and this, I think, may be something on my radar come Monday. But wanted to throw it out to our elite members here. If you have questions on things going on in the market, if you want to talk about different things, now is the time. So go ahead and post it up in chat for me so I can go ahead and answer those questions, look at those tickers. Whatever you guys want to talk about. You want to talk about markets, things like that. You can talk about my turkey recipe that I made. Whatever you guys want to discuss, it is here. Nike NKE from Yas. All right, so Nike looking like a bit of a double top here. As far as that's concerned, you could also say, but it's setting up for a W recovery, which it potentially could. Let's see. We got a dividend coming up here. Let's see what that estimated ex-dividend is going to be. All right, so 3rd of December, 30 cent per share ex-dividend. Can't beat that. That definitely doesn't suck. We'll be paid out on the 28th, so you'll have to wait a little bit. So that's a bit of a bummer as far as that's concerned. Earnings coming up here on the 20th. Go away. Get rid of that notification. But yeah, Nike seems to be a little bit indecisive right now. I mean, it definitely is holding the support area here around, 167.50-ish, which is definitely nice. If you are in this already, I don't know if you are, Yas, but you could look for another breakout. This is the thing with technical patterns, guys. You can look at this two ways. Like I said, you could see something like a W recovery, or you could see something like a double top. So, there's the double top right there, basically at this 177 area. Couldn't hold there, but we're also looking like we've got some support down here in this area around 167. So we're kind of bouncing between this $10 range. Okay, Yas says he's not in. Okay, so yeah, he saw it bouncing off support, and that's a very good spot, by the way. So I would say if you start to see some recovery in it, maybe it might warrant, a potential spot for you to go ahead and get in. If it continues to sell off below the support, then I would wait, obviously. But yeah, if it looks like it may go on Monday morning and the market is in your favor, then it could definitely be a good spot for you. Just keep an eye on this 177 area. It definitely seems to be an area of, a bit of resistance there. Let me scoot that up a little bit, right about there. So yeah, about 177, 178, somewhere in that area. You should consider, running into some resistance potentially. But yeah, if this support level holds and it bounces off here, yeah, I like it. Seems pretty cool. Good spot. I had somebody ask me about our old favorite gaming company. We'll go ahead and talk about that because I'm sure some of you are wondering. Corsair continues to get absolutely clobbered post-earnings. Guys, even though I have all of my drawings still on here, I dumped this. And when Riz announced it, I went ahead and dumped it, and it was a good decision. I know some people wrote me and said, oh, I'm still bag holding this. And, you can if you want, but it could be a boat anchor for you. I have to tell you, I took another trade, and I made back half of my loss in like a week. So that's the value of having capital available and not necessarily bag holding all the time. I think I held this through probably since about the 17th or 18th of June is when I got back in. I think I saw this pattern. I was hoping for it to bounce maybe back up here to this 35 area, and it never even came flipping close. And then it just down she went the whole time. Earnings have not been inspiring. Obviously a double miss there. Beat on revenue but missed on EPS, even though they are making money. So this one is definitely a frustrating one. The one that I did get in, just for transparency, is Micron. This one worked out very nicely. I think I got in somewhere in this area here, around the 75 area, sold it around in here somewhere. So I was pretty happy with that. And I would not recommend getting in Micron right now. But definitely one that should be on your watch list, guys. This is one we've traded multiple times. It is a very, very good company. I remember this one back when it was cheap, back when it was down here in the 40s. Man, those were the good old days. What can I say? Can we also take a look at EA and TWLO? Looking good in terms of technicals, I think. Well, let's take a look, shall we? So EA, from what I've heard, the Call of Duty was lackluster, from what I understand, though I've also heard that Battlefield wasn't too hot either. Now, I know we're talking about two different studios there, but obviously a double bottom here, and we are holding above this 125. This candle obviously is not very inspiring as far as Friday's concerned, but also we have to consider what happened to the market on Friday and put that into perspective as well. So I think this one will depend more on the market as something else, because obviously we gapped up here very nicely on Friday morning, but then it just could not hold and it sold off with the market and lost everything that it had gained from that gap up. So I like it if it can hold the support level and the market starts to behave for it. Otherwise, if we can see continued selling in the market and this sells off with it, obviously you'll want to hold. And then this support can potentially become resistance, and that's something that you'll need to keep an eye on. But no, I like this one too. Not too bad. If this area holds, you definitely could ride it back up to maybe even the 134s, 135s, somewhere in that area. If it bounces pretty nicely, definitely could work for you. Nope, let's type correctly. There we go. Twilio. I remember this one from the day trading days. Let's see here. So we got some support there, and it looks like we had a bounce down here. Okay, there we go. So there's some levels for us to look at. Yeah, obviously bouncing off this 266 area, looks like it has been relevant in the past. So there's definitely something there. I think this one looks a little more solid than EA because we definitely have a confirmed bounce at this point. EA is still kind of teetering on that support level where TWLO has definitely bounced. Now, we may run into some resistance up here around 305, so our profit is potentially capped. I'm not saying that it's going to run to 305 and it's going to stop, but it is something that we need to keep an eye on, especially if you do want to trade this. I definitely like this. We do have like I said, definitely confirmed bounce. If the market behaves on Monday and this looks like it still wants to go, then yeah, I like it. It seems pretty solid. As a potential take here, and I think you could definitely make some off of it. I like it. Very nice spots. Yes, those are definitely good ones. I like them both. But yeah, we just want confirmation. especially with the market. If the market continues to sell, then it's very dicey taking long plays, obviously, when the market's selling hard, especially like it did Friday. But, we see here TWLO kind of gave the finger to the market and said, no, we're going to buy this today. Everybody else is selling, we're buying. So, that definitely can happen. And, it was very surprising, everything that happened on Friday. I watched it happen in real time because I was here. But, it was quite the day in the market, to say the least, even though it was a short day. But I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you celebrate that holiday, I do know for our Canadian brothers and sisters here in Elite, it was earlier. We had ours here last Thursday, so just a couple days ago. Had the family over, cooked the turkey on the grill. It was a good time, not going to lie. Do we have any other questions? Anything else you want me to take a look at? You guys are really quiet tonight. They're all waiting for my turkey recipe. That's what they want. I have to say that's probably the biggest Black Friday move I've ever seen in the market. Usually it doesn't do much anything because everybody's still hungover from turkey the day before and nobody wants to trade. And so usually you see considerably less volume. Whereas, this Friday, with even a partial trading day, made it to average volume, which was ridiculously strange. Do you see vaccine-based stocks, i.e. Moderna, Pfizer, NVA, to be relevant for the foreseeable future? Short answer, probably yes. Obviously, Moderna had a big spike here with the news because they're like, there will be increased demand on vaccines. Same for Pfizer. Pfizer had a nice gap up as well. Beautiful little play if you were in Pfizer. What a bounce here. It's definitely been moving. Let's take a look at NVA. I don't think that's the one that you want. NVE. Now, which company are you talking about? NVAX, okay. Got it. There we go. That makes more sense. So yeah, nice little gap up here in NVAX as well. Obviously they started going. If there's more news of, spread of the virus and things like that, I think yes, I think you definitely will see probably some more movement in these. How big is it going to be will probably depend on the severity of the news story or the catalyst, as we like to say. But yeah, I definitely think that there's going to be some movement there. But the question is it already done? We obviously have already had the knee-jerk reaction to the news here on this. And the question is whether the catalyst will continue to push it higher. If we can see continued spread of the new variant and the vaccine data looks promising for helping, reduce the chance of hospitalization for those who have had the vaccine for this new variant, then I think yes. I think you'll see an increased demand in it, especially since now they're trying to push the boosters out. So that is definitely something to consider as well, especially if the clinical data suggests that the current vaccine would be effective against the new version of the virus. Now, if it's not, that's not necessarily a good thing. And so at that point, if your clinical data suggests that the current vaccine, the one that has been approved, is not viable against the new variant, then I think you'll probably see some pullback from that, because obviously then people won't be getting that vaccine and people will be like, oh, well, their stock is going to tank now, and so they make it tank by selling it. Same thing could be said for Pfizer. Now, I do know that Pfizer has their new therapeutic that they were looking at that could help reduce hospitalizations for those who take it. I think the initial number said 80%. Why is it always when Pfizer comes out with something, the numbers are huge? You got me. I know Merck had theirs get a little bit slammed here because there was a clinical result from the trials actually that stated that the actual percentage of hospitalization reduction was actually like 20 to 30% as opposed to 50% or 49% as they initially claimed. So you can kind of see that gut reaction here. Now, obviously, there was a sell-off with the market that day as well, but you do see that news not being taken very well. So it is one of those things that we kind of have to keep an eye on and understand that they are very catalyst based. So, if we get more negative data about the the spread, meaning there's more spread of the new variant, and depending on the lethality and how effective it is, at combating the current vaccine regimen that we have, will depend on how things go. I know that was probably a longer explanation than you expected. The short answer is yes. I think they will be relevant. What direction they go will depend on the clinical data. And, of course, the news catalyst. If, all the talking heads are saying, oh, yeah, you got to go get your vaccine, it works on the new variant, then, yeah, people are going to go get it, especially if the new variant shows increased lethality or increased percentage for hospitalization. I think, yeah, more people will go get it, and that would definitely help the stock price. But until we know, that's, kind of up in the air at this point. But do I think they'll be relevant? Absolutely, I think they'll be relevant. And, these are decent, pretty solid companies. Pfizer, absolutely spectacular as far as a company is concerned, from the fundamental standpoint. mRNA, a little bit more questionable as far as the financials are concerned. But, not a terrible company. I've not worked with them in the past, so I can't say from a personal standpoint. But, they are really big into this mRNA vaccine stuff, and obviously that's what is the new rage right now. NVAX I'm not too familiar with. But, yeah, they seem to be moving pretty nicely, even post-earnings here when they missed. A double miss. Ooh, wow, that EPS is terrible. Ugh. Minus $4 per share. That's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. What was it before? Yeah, another $4 per share. Man, they got hammered. Oh, wow, they beat here, but they're still losing money. Yeah, so, yeah, from a fundamental standpoint, and Novavax, not so hot. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to necessarily work out for you. Yeah, I mean, the spread definitely is going to be something that people look out for, and something that can be, affected, or rather affect the price of the security, especially if it's something that, is being, put out there as being, sold. So, yeah, I think it definitely would help with that, and obviously the news catalyst on Friday definitely helped it. Is biotech and medical research... Oh, it's a biotech and medical research company? Okay, gotcha. My guess on the name is they're working on vaccines. Who would have guessed? Is Riz Options course still available? Yes. The Masterclass course is absolutely still available. Is it available at the Black Friday sale price? Not sure. I'll need to check on that. But definitely, if that's something you want to do, highly recommend it. The Options Masterclass is spectacular. You guys need to jump on that if you haven't, especially if you have the capital to do short puts. It's definitely a very lucrative way to make money while, necessarily keeping your risk fairly low. I'm not going to say it's zero. There is no zero risk play. But it definitely helps keep your risk at a more reasonable level, especially when playing with options, and make money appear out of nowhere, which is always fun. Myself personally, I've not been able to take advantage of that strategy yet because my account is way too small, but hoping one day I can get there. I do know a lot of guys who've been doing it for well over a year now who have been making quite a lot of money on it. And so definitely a great class to take. Can we take a look at you as well? Absolutely. We can take a look at you at Unity Software. All right, let's take a look here. Unity Software looks like they pushed up pretty hardcore on earnings here. Let's take a look. Yeah, beat on both sides of things, beat on revenue and EPS, though not spectacular earnings per share, negative 6 cents per share. But it looks like they may be starting to curl back up here, but man, there is a lot of space here between the moving averages and the price as it stands. So I would be very careful on this one with it being so extended right now after this big move. It's not bad, but I don't love it, if that makes any sense. So we kind of have about an inflection point there. Ah, it's a metaverse play. Gotcha. Good old metaverse. We had some questions about this last week, and people asked if Riz was looking into anything to go off of metaverse, and I don't know if there's really enough to go off of right now. It's Facebook is talking about it, and they did their name change. You'll notice here now it's Meta Platforms Incorporated as opposed to Facebook. It's still frickin' Facebook, guys. It's a good question on whether it'll actually happen. That's my thing. And what's it going to look like? Is it going to be like Ready Player One? I mean, that's what I want to know. Interesting. A plot of land got sold for $2 million in Metaverse, and it doesn't even exist yet. That's spectacular. That's just like an NFT, is what it sounds like to me. It's like we now have Metaverse NFTs. It's all hype. Absolutely, it is. And that seems to be what is. People are capitalizing on that right now. Is it wrong? Is it right? Neither direction, in my opinion. It just is what it is. And if people have perceived value of a certain thing, whether this fictitious plot of land inside the metaverse that doesn't exist yet is actually worth $2 million, or buying a picture of an otter holding a space gun is worth $100,000 for an NFT. It's all hype. It's no different than Bitcoin. I mean, let's be honest. There's nothing back in Bitcoin except what people feel that it's worth. So, this whole metaverse thing, I'm on the fence about it. I want to see what it is first before I make any calls on it. But if you feel highly about it, you think that it's going to be the new thing, then getting in early, being an early adopter is obviously going to be very good. I mean, if you could have been an earlier adopter of Bitcoin back here when it was worth, not even here at 4,000, it was even cheaper than that back in the day. Here we go, $700. I mean, yeah, if you can be an early adopter of something and you can hold for a while, then it can definitely work for you if it pans out. It can also just go to crap. Let's take my personal favorite example, which would be Helios and Matheson. This one got in on a deal called Movie Pass. And everybody thought it was going to be spectacular. And you see how much I've got to pull back here. Now, the price was actually never this high, this high because of reverse splits. But yeah, everybody thought this was going to be the next big thing, and it was the next big tulip, the tulip bubble, for lack of a better term. But yeah, so just be careful with certain things. Yeah, I know. I remember when this was going. I was watching the market back in 2017 when this is hot, guys. Helios Matheson. It was the big parabolic move, and just as high as she went up, down she back came. Like I said, it was never at 9,000 or even close to 10,000. I think it was a couple $100, and the price is this way because of all of these reverse splits, not all of which have been put on here. But yeah, that is sometimes what can happen when you are in a little bit too early and you don't exactly know what's going on. So is Metaverse going to be a thing? It might. It very well might. And it might be the new thing, and you may be incredibly happy that you got in here on Unity software around 180, and maybe it goes up to something like 300-400, does one of those Tesla deals, and it goes nuts. It could also do a Helios of Matheson and go down to a penny. And I have no way to tell you which way it's going to be. So it's a calculated risk, I think, is basically what I'm trying to say, guys. So for being an early adopter is a calculated risk. Obviously, this is actually a fairly recent IPO here. I just noticed that just a little bit over a year ago. So there's still a lot to be said for this company. We'll have to see what it does in the future. But from a technical standpoint here over the last couple of weeks, if it continues back up towards the upside, you definitely could capitalize on this somewhere up to like 205 or something like that. Would be a fairly reasonable target to hit, I think. But, long term, it's a big question of, does this metaverse thing actually take off? Or is it another Movie Pass? Movie Pass, for those who don't know, was a service where you purchase for a monthly fee, and you could basically go to as many movies as you wanted to during that time frame in the theaters. Obviously, it didn't quite work out. Okay, well that's good. Yeah, U is a gaming engine for game development. I feel like I've heard of them before. So yeah, I mean, obviously they have space outside of Meta as well, but I mean, if it actually works, then it should be good too. MS is also into Metaverse, Azure Digital Twins. Let's take a look here. You talking Morgan Stanley? Which platforms do you use to trade cryptos? Well, if you can read my bookmark bar here, I've got Coinbase right here. Microsoft, MSFT. So yeah, Microsoft is going to be one of the big ones. They, of course, have been around for quite some time. Very solid company. But looking like they're coming down off the all-time highs here, I would not be buying Microsoft right now. I would hold off on that. Tom is asking which platforms you use to trade cryptos. Currently, Riz doesn't trade cryptos. I know he has in the past. I don't know which platform he used. I have access to Coinbase here in the United States. It's probably the easiest one to use so far. If you're asking, do I trade cryptos? Not yet. It's something that I'm looking to potentially get into later once the missus finishes RN school. But right now, I'm not into it at all. Just watching passively from the sidelines, keeping an eye on it. Obviously, there are a lot of different platforms out there. We do have quite a few people in Elite who do trade cryptocurrency, so you could definitely post that question in chat, and I'm sure people would be more than happy to help you out. But obviously, Coinbase is one of the big ones. No, Jacob, we haven't missed it. So yeah, we can take a look at those. Yeah, Binance, Crypto.com, Coinbase. Yeah, I remember Binance. That was definitely one. All right, let's take a look at Baba. Getting freaking hammered, like usual. So obviously, the more the Chinese market, let me rephrase that, the more the Chinese government interferes with their market, the worse things are. Funny how that works. When a free market can, starts to become not so free anymore, that's not necessarily a good thing for it. So let's look here. Let's look further back to get some data here. And man, we're going way back on Baba. Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yeah, that's a good spot for it. So, I mean, obviously right now we're kind of sitting here right around this previous support level from way back out there. Yeah, looks like I pretty well nailed that one there. Thank you for that, Yas. So, yeah, back in 2018, previous support level at 130. Is that still going to be relevant is a good question. It definitely can be. But we'll have to see. Sometimes those older support levels don't hold as much weight as newer ones. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of chilling here, but I personally wouldn't be touching Baba if I were you. Missed on EPS and revenue by quite a bit, actually, $500 million. But still making $31 billion, a paltry $31 billion. He could pass some of that to me. I'd be okay. But yeah, I would chill. I would wait here. It looks like it's starting to want to curl back up. We'll have to see what the Chinese Communist Party wants to do with that, if they want to let that happen or not. But yeah, Baba getting absolutely hammered here, like all year. I know we've have some people who have been, holding Baba for quite some time. But yeah, I mean, huge downtrend on Baba the entire year. Be very, very careful with this one. All right, Visa, the other one. Yeah, Visa looks like they got clobbered here post-dividend, which is 38 cents a share. But yeah, Visa in a bit of a downtrend as well. I'd be careful with jumping in on this one. Though that being said, it's not going anywhere. So, I mean, if you want to get on Visa here, I wouldn't blame you at this price point. It's definitely not bad. It's definitely not a bad spot to jump in. Okay, we take a look at Zoom and TDOC. Absolutely. Give me just a second. Let me finish on Visa, and then we'll take care of those. But yeah, I mean, Visa been hammered here over a little bit, and especially over the last week and a half, which is surprising. You'd think a lot of people would be using their Visa on Black Friday. But yeah, I mean, Visa is going to be a solid company. They're not going anywhere. They have a pretty decent dividend at 38 cents per share. I mean, obviously, if you can only afford a couple shares, it's not that great. But hey, It's free money. I'll take it. I like free money. And yeah, obviously there was some catalyst here that I wasn't looking at. Let's look here real quick, see if we can find that. When did that happen? That happened on the 17th. It looks like nothing specific towards Visa, at least not that I'm seeing as far as the news is concerned. But there was probably some news catalyst here that I don't recall. That was last week. Payment processors were just hammered. Fair enough. Same thing that happened to MA. Gotcha. Fair enough. Yeah, so obviously they got hammered pretty bad. But it looks like they're trying to hold here right around this area. This 192, 193 seems very important. So that definitely seems to be the inflection point that it's holding right now, which is good for it. If it continues to push up towards the north side, then yeah, I like it for a bounce play. It looks pretty solid. And then people want to take a look at ZM. Looks like it sold off with the market. Honestly, I think this is way overvalued, even still for ZM. As far as that's concerned. That being said, earnings were good. Revenue was good. Looks like they're making about $1 billion a year. Or at least for that earnings period, I should say. ZM getting slaughtered here, basically. I wouldn't take it, personally. This is on a huge downtrend at this point, and I'm not too keen on that. Let's see how beautiful we can make it. So I guess long term, it's not so spectacular. But I think I can make this look a little bit better shorter term. I mean, obviously here, come on, mouse is acting up. So, I mean, we're on a clear downtrend here over the last few months on ZM. I don't really care for it. I still think it's overvalued even at this price. TDOC. Also getting slammed because life is getting back to normal. Even though earnings look like they had a double hit here, still not making money. Earnings per share is still negative, so that's definitely not a good thing. Looks like it found some support here around 100. Not surprising. Huge psychological level there at 100. Not too much there in the past, to be honest with you, but but we are running into this support resistance level here at about 120, so that's definitely concerning as well. This sell-off here was definitely in connection with the market also, but I don't know. Me personally, guys, from where I live in the United States, things are pretty much back to normal here for the most part. There are still places where you're supposed to wear a mask and stuff like that, but it's all like, we strongly suggest you wear one. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Things like TDOC and things like that, I feel like are going to be less valued now if we do have another outbreak of coronavirus, and if there's more lockdowns, then yeah, this thing will probably see a bit of a spike. But if it's kind of mild the way that Delta was, where we didn't have to do these quarantines or things like that, then I don't think we'll see a lot of movement out of TDOC. I really don't. For me personally, I don't think it's really the wave of the future. I don't think telecommuting medicine is the way it's going to be. I know for some it was required during coronavirus, but not a big fan. Jeffrey, looking at Shell. Okay, let's take RDS. Royal Dutch Shell. This is the one that we typically trade, RDS.B. Not looking too spectacular here. It has been on a bit of a incline here. But gapped down pretty hard with what happened with the market on Friday. Slight recovery. With oil being sold off so hard here on Friday, I'm surprised this is holding as well as it did, which is impressive, honestly. But this is not a huge moving stock. It is a little gappy, though. Likes to gap up and down. You can definitely make money off of it. Do I like it here? Not really. We're kind of stuck between the moving averages at this point. We're just kind of hovering around this 42 area. Not a huge fan of it here. That's my opinion. So I guess MasterCard got hammered with Visa. Yeah, they got slammed pretty hard too, it looks like, over the last couple weeks. But yeah. All right, well, awesome questions, guys. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. I didn't even have time to share my turkey recipe So disappointing. I know that everybody in the chat's going to be bummed out that I didn't do that, but I guess if you're a member of Elite and you really want me to share it, I will be more than happy to share pictures in there for you guys. So I really appreciate each and all of my Elite members who are here, who came out tonight. Great questions, great discussion. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's always a pleasure to have these webinars and interact live with you guys. And we will see you in Discord on Monday. Good night, everybody.